Welcome to ACC football. It's the 2023 Miami Hurricanes spring game here at Drive Pink Stadium, the home of Inter Miami, the South Florida MLS team, here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as we see year 2 of the Cristobal era. Mario Cristobal, the head coach of the Miami Hurricanes, a two-time champion here at the University of Miami. Some familiar faces, some new faces, and a lot of football here in Fort Lauderdale at this stadium today, including, you'll see Tyler Van Dyke, the Miami Hurricanes quarterback, in just a little bit. Alongside EJ Manuel, I'm George Sedano. Welcome into Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the Hurricanes spring game. EJ, some turnover amongst the coordinators for the University of Miami. Let's start with the defense and Lance Guidry. What do you make of that hire?
This is a great hire by Coach Cristobal and his staff. You think about Lance Guidry coming over from Marshall, and this is a defense and a team that beat the Fighting Irish from Notre Dame last year in their house. When you think about the excellent teams of Miami in the past, the early 2000s, even some when I was playing college football in 2008, 2012, they had excellent defenses. So you know he's going to bring in that 4-2-5 style. He's going to be extremely multiple, a lot of disguises, and try to confuse some of these opposing offenses.
And, of course, take advantage of the extraordinary athletes here at the University of Miami. And there's extraordinary athletes on the offensive side, as we know as well, explosive athletes that Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator, will have to take advantage of. How do you feel he will help this group?
This would be a huge help because Coach Cristobal said whoever he brought in as an OC, it had to be a perfect fit for their quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke. And when you watch Coach Dawson's offenses, especially last year at Houston, Clayton Tune, an NFL draft pick coming up in a few weeks, excellent quarterback, a lot of the same intangibles as a young TVD. So I'm expecting a lot of vertical passes, also a balance with the run game, allowing that back to get out in the flat and make some plays.
Tyler Van Dyke, an injury-riddled season last year. How does he continue the maturation process?
The key for Tyler Van Dyke is to get back to playing simple football. When you watched him in the 2022 season, he was trying to do too much, forced passes in there that just weren't there. You saw some balls get tipped up, turn into some interceptions, and that's not what you want at the quarterback position. Go back to the 2021 year, he played flawless. He was clean. His vision was good. He just allowed the game to come to him. So that's what I'm expecting to see from TVD tonight. A clean performance, no turnovers.
Tyler Van Dyke and company will take the field. There you see Mario Cristobal and his two new coordinators. Football, Miami Hurricanes football, coming up in just a moment. Into the Miami Hurricanes 2023 spring game here at Drive Pink Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, about 25 miles north of the University of Miami. Year 2 of the Mario Cristobal era is upon us, and he's down on the sideline with our guy Pete Thamel. Pete, what do you got?
Mario, you got 41 new scholarship players that'll be out on this field since you arrived. It's year 2. What can we expect tonight from the Hurricanes?
We expect our guys to compete and execute at the highest level they possibly can. They fully understand that when you put on that logo, you wear it, you come out, you represent it with pride. So we expect our guys to compete hard and try to win each side of the ball. That's simple.
Tyler Van Dyke, obviously, as a new coordinator that he's had to mesh with Shannon Dawson. What are some reasonable expectations of him tonight as he takes the field, kind of with live bullets of this new coordinator?
He's taken to the system really well, and he's practiced really well, so we expect him to play well tonight.
Okay, thanks, Mario.
Thank you.
All right, Pete, thank you. There's Coach Cristobal. Let's take a look at the rules here, EJ.
Yep.
15-minute quarters, running clock in the second half. Offense will be wearing orange, defense white. Here's the defensive scoring for those scoring at home. Obviously, a touchdown is 7 points. A takeaway, 3 points. 3 and out, 3 points. A stop, in general, 2 points. And a sack and a tackle for loss will be 1 point each. So, luckily, someone else will be keeping those scores, and we just have to read them, EJ.
Absolutely. And, you know, that 1 point for the sack, from what I remember, George, when I was doing spring games or any type of spring practices, the DNs always called out a sack, even if they weren't close to me. So let's see if Coach Cristobal and his staff are objective about that 1 point for the defense.
Well, you know, Coach Cristobal is an offensive line coach, so it'll be interesting. Is he going to be hard on his offensive line, or is he going to be a little easier on him? We'll see. Kick is in the air and through the end zone, and Miami's offense will begin their first drive at the 25-yard line. So, EJ, Tyler Van Dyke, obviously, leading the charge here for this particular group. 2 years ago, he was incredible in his 9 starts. Last year, injury-riddled, for sure.
And dealt with a lot of shoulder injuries, too, which is hard for any quarterback. When I watched him, I just felt like he was trying to force things. He was trying to make the big play. And when you go back to the 2021 season, George, you just felt like the offense came to him so much more simpler. Now, maybe that's because he was an incoming freshman. He was the backup at first. De'Aaron King goes out with an injury, so the pressure wasn't necessarily on him. But I'm expecting TVD to get back to playing in that fashion he did in 2021.
And he's in the backfield with Henry Parrish, who started last year. They start off 4 wide receivers. Shannon Dawson, the offensive coordinator. And they do a reverse to start this off there. A little end around by Xavier Restrepo, who keeps it moving near the midfield mark.
I like that play out the gate, too. Get a Restrepo out in the wide, in the flat. It's an excellent job, excellent sell by the quarterback, too. But Restrepo has been the player that the coaches just rave about. They say he's the guy. When they need somebody to come up with a big catch or a big-time run, he does it just like that.
23-yard gain there. And Restrepo and Tyler Van Dyke, they are roommates, so they know each other really well. They do everything together. They eat together. They golf together. And clearly, they play football well together, as you see here. Handoff up the middle to Parrish. Gains a couple of yards there. Tackle there made by Chance Williams. Now, when you are in this spring game, you know, we spoke to Coach Shannon Dawson down in the field, you and I, earlier, and you asked him about like what we're going to see, and he said, you know, he gets itchy. You're going to see some stuff. Well, he got itchy right away with that jet sweep there to start the game off.
Absolutely, and as a quarterback, you love play calls like a jet sweep. Just hand it off, let your guy get some positive yards, and then even a good call right there, the second play, a nice solid run by the running back Parrish.
2nd down and 7 here. Van Dyke flushed out of the pocket, rolls to his right, throws to Restrepo, finds his man, and he does have a catch. They'll give it to him at the 26-yard line. Make that the 25. Excellent pass there. Cam Kitchens on the tackle, a 24-yard gain.
It's an excellent pass because it's a roommate-to-roommate connection, George. You just talked about it. These guys are golf buddies. And obviously here connecting on a big-time throw, rolling to his right. Tyler Van Dyke looking good early.
I hope Restrepo got Tyler Van Dyke on some of the Latino food you can get down here in South Florida. He's a Connecticut kid, and Restrepo is a South Florida kid from Palm Beach.
Very true, very true.
Here's Tyler Van Dyke. 1st down here at the 25-yard line. Hand off to Parrish up the middle. Makes a man miss. Bowls over some guys there and gets near the sticks. Markeith Williams with the tackle. 10-yard gain.
Tell you what, there's been some hard-nosed running by Henry Parrish. And this is a player last year, 616 yards in the season, 4 touchdowns. But the thing I love about Henry Parrish, he's a north and south kind of running back. He's not going to try to get to the hole, not going to dance around a lot. He's going to put his nose down and get positive yards. I really like what I'm seeing from him after 2 plays.
The junior from Goulds, Florida, down near the Homestead area. Was with Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, transferred to Miami last year. Van Dyke in the gun. Parrish to his right. A couple of tight ends in there now in this formation. A throw to the end zone for Van Dyke. Do we have a catch? Nope, incomplete, intended for Colby Young, and that's a player that we saw come to this program last year as Devontae Brown was in coverage that they felt could be a big difference maker this year. Is a big, big kid.
And you know what, George? You can expect this a lot during the season. Colby Young, I got a chance to walk by him as they were warming up. He's legit 6'5". So you talk about that jump ball threat down here in the low red zone. Expect that a lot, and a really good cover play by Devontae Brown.
1st incompletion for Van Dyke thus far. Couple of tight ends, 2 receivers out there for Van Dyke on 2nd down. Dumps it into the flat to Jaleel Skinner, the tight end, and he is out of bounds inside the 10-yard line to the 7-yard line. A gain of 7 on the play.
And the early play calls right here by Coach Dawson, just getting Tyler Van Dyke on the edge, getting the ball out of his hands, allowing him to just catch it, see it, throw it accurately, and allow his players to give him some positive yards.
Let's go down to Pete Thamel. What do you got, Pete?
Well, guys, we were on the field earlier talking to Shannon Dawson, and he said he was going to try to distribute the ball, but he might get a little itchy, and I think we saw him get a little itchy with some of those downfield throws early. But talking to coaches who played Houston this year, they say what he does best is getting the ball to his best players. It sounds simple, but if you do that in space and recruit like Mario Cristobal is started to recruit, it's going to give Miami an advantage. So look for the distribution tonight to get guys like Restrepo the ball where they can show off a little wiggle and make some chunk plays out of small plays.
So what have you liked thus far, EJ, from what we've seen from the offense?
What I liked early is just getting Tyler Van Dyke on the edge. I feel like the offensive line's done a great job of creating some holes as well for Henry Parrish to kind of just cut inside zone, get positive yardage. And I think the biggest thing right now is for this defense. If I'm the head coach, Mario Cristobal, I want my defense to make a stop right here. You got, third and 2. It's a hard situation. Maybe hold them for a field goal here.
So Shannon Dawson was talking about how he wants to make things easy for the guys, as you see here. make things very quarterback friendly, and let the natural ability take over for his quarterbacks.
And that's going to be huge because Tyler Van Dyke is one of those players, he's not going to overthink it. If it's there, he's going to take it, he's going to rip it. And I tell you what, the offenses that I watched at Houston that Coach Dawson orchestrated, they were special. I mean, they pushed the ball down the field. They were top 5 in a lot of categories in the country, so I'm expecting to bring that over here to the youth.
3rd and 3. 3 plays of 10 yards or more, and that one got swallowed up in the backfield quickly. Number 51, Francisco Mauigoa, the transfer from Washington State, and that'll end the drive after a 3-yard loss.
Watch Mauigoa just knife in there for the big-time tackle for loss. That's what you want from a linebacker. And again, the transfer portal. This is a player that was at Washington State. His brother's the left tackle, maybe the right tackle, the 5-star freshman, Francis Mauigoa. But what a play by there to get the stop like I talked about. Now I'm assuming, George, that's some positive points there for the defense, or maybe it's not sure.
It's going to end up being a stop, but so they get him 2 points. 1 point there. 27-yard field goal attempt by Borregales is good. So the offense gets 3 points there. The defense gets a point too. We're going to be having some fun here tallying up these points, but watching some great football here from this Miami Hurricanes spring game here in Fort Lauderdale. Come through here in the Fort Lauderdale area earlier this week, 25 inches of rain in 24 hours. And if you want to help people affected by the storms here in South Florida and in the Midwest, you can donate at the Red Cross. Donate at redcross.org/ESPN. That's redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Thamel with you here at Drive Pink Stadium for the Miami Hurricanes spring game here. There's Coach Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator. Next group will come out here. We'll see the twos. Jakari Brown at quarterback. Don Chaney at running back. Don Chaney, a highly touted recruit a couple years ago, dealing with multiple knee injuries. But it's nice to see him out there, EJ.
It is nice to see him out there, George. He only was able to play in 1 game last year. Going back to that 2021 season, he was special and showed some really bright lights.
And a run there by Jakari Brown. Jakari, a mobile quarterback for sure. Young player, they feel like they still need to refine his passing a little bit, but he is an incredible athlete when you watch him out there.
Coach Sandon Dawson had nothing but great things to say about the young man. A high level of skill set, a rocket launcher for an arm. Just a matter of really honing that thing in and just hitting your spots.
Yeah, he's got a cannon for sure. You see him out here in the gun, 4 receivers. They hand it off to Chaney on the left side. Picks up a couple of yards, but a flag on the play. Tackle there by Jaden Harris. We'll see what the flag's all about. And by the way, EJ, you were right. The defense did get 3 points in that on that first drive because of the stop as well. They got a sack or a tackle for loss and a stop. Okay, looks like we had some issues there with the official's mic, but
I'm assuming it was holding there.
Yes, yes. That's why you saw the big hole on the left side of the line.
Absolutely. But again, that was a great stop by Francisco Mauigoa. And you love to see a linebacker assess it, read it, and shoot the gap and make the play. That was awesome.
And he is certainly that. He can read the offense really well. He had a big pick 6 for Wazoo last year in a pivotal moment in the Pac-12 season. Obviously, Mario Cristobal, having coached in the Pac-12, very familiar with his game. And of course, as you mentioned, his brother Francis Mauigoa starting at tackle here today. Bubble screen incomplete, drop there by Robbie Washington, the freshman out of Miami Palmetto High School.
Just go back to Jakari Brown. Got a chance to watch 2 of his games last year. The first one was Georgia Tech. Helped the team win. Tyler Van Dyke was out with an injury, but found ways to make plays. A lot of big throws, some solid runs, keeping the chains moving. And then was humbled a little bit the following week versus a Clemson Tiger defense. Now, understandable for a young quarterback, but I really feel like those reps are going to be huge for him in his future because the more you get out there and get a chance to play, the better you're going to get.
Coach Dawson said he's never had a kid like Jakari before, but elite arm talent, as you mentioned. And here's Jakari here on 3rd and 17. In trouble. There's that cannon we were talking about a second ago. Puts one up for grabs, incomplete. And as you mentioned, the accuracy there is part of the issue.
Yeah, and it's tough, too, because his feet were out of whack, George. He tried to move to his left, had a little bit of pressure coming to to and from the right side. And again, you got to just get your feet back into the rhythm and rip that thing and just give your receiver a chance. I mean, at the end of the day, the worst thing that happens, you get a DPI, you get the ball an extra, 10, 15 yards down the field, and then it's a first down. But that's something that he's going to clean up as the game goes toward.
The intended target was Isaiah Horton from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, redshirt freshman. Big target as well, 6'4", 205 pounds. But Jakari, the sophomore out of Valdosta, Georgia, goes 0 for 2 on that drive. We have a poor punt here, bouncing near midfield. And I know that Coach Cristobal's not going to be happy with that special teams effort.
He won't be happy with it, but again, there's still some jitters. This is a big moment for a lot of these young players, getting a chance to come out here and play in front of some fans. You have 14 practices where you're just going against your teammates. It gets a little boring after a while, George, I got to be honest, but when you get a chance to play in front of these bright lights, your parents, your friends, some of the kids from school are out here getting a chance to support you. That light gets a little bit bigger, so 26-yard punt, we expect a little bit more, and I'm sure he will do a little better.
Yeah, and here's the thing. This is the time, to your point, to get those kinks out, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's all a part of it. And again, the coaches want to see these players process in a big-time moment. That's why you have this game at 7:30. That's why you have this game in a stadium. That's why you have fans out here. Just kind of add to the moment and see how guys handle the pressure and see which guys cannot handle the pressure.
Don Chaney in the backfield with Tyler Van Dyke, so he's going to run with the ones here at running back. First down here from their own 45-yard line for the offense. Van Dyke with time, dumps it down to Chaney. Chaney cut back towards the middle of the field and gets across midfield for a gain of 6 there. Let's go check in with Pete. What do you got, Pete?
Well, when I talked to Tyler Van Dyke this week, guys, it was interesting how he put in context last season. He obviously struggled. He had entered the year as perhaps a top NFL prospect at the position. His touchdown passes dropped from 25 to 10. It was interesting that he told me, even though the stats didn't show it, he felt like he got better last year and developed. He feels like he knows where to go with the ball more now. And also, I thought it really stood out that he made it a point to say this was not Josh Gaddis' fault. It was not Josh Gaddis' offensive fault. He said it was everyone's fault, and it was an execution issue more than anything else. In other words, no excuses. He needs to play better. The difference in Shannon Dawson's office that he pointed out to me was the freedom to make changes. Change plays based on what the defense is showing and put the offense in the best possible position. So I think Tyler Van Dyke feels empowered back there, and I think we'll see some of that tonight.
And certainly, EJ, you can attest to that. Just having the ability to make changes at the line of scrimmage and audible out of things that you see. You got to trust the quarterback. There has to be a relationship there between OC and the QB.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to know that you have the green light. You have the responsibility, really, to get your team and your offense into the correct play every single time, whether it's a run check, whether it's a pass going to a run. You just want to know that at the end of the day, once you do make a decision, the 10 guys around you are going to know what to do, but also your coordinator is going to be fine with you making that call too.
TVD connects there with Jaleel Skinner, a 9-yard gain. Prior to that, you saw Brashard Smith on a jet sweep that picked up a first down as well. Cam Kitchens is out there. He was a little dinged up in practice this week, so it's nice to see that he's out there defensively. Henry Parrish now checking back in at running back next to Van Dyke. 2nd and 1 here. Van Dyke throwing it down the field. And, wow, Restrepo was playing DB there in a lot of ways. I don't know if there was a miscommunication between him and Restrepo on to how deep that route was supposed to go, but Restrepo saved them there.
This is actually a great play by Restrepo, and I say that because it's a simple coverage. It's cover 3. And number 0, to Corey Couch, the nickel. He's doing his job. He has the flat to the curl. He comes back, almost has an interception. But Restrepo comes in, knocks that thing down, and saves his roommate there. And almost a costly interception that didn't need to happen.
He's going to have to pick up lunch for sure on
Absolutely.
that one. Yeah. So 3rd and 1 here.
No route by the safeties here, too.
Yeah, there's pressure coming. Van Dyke's going to keep it and run for the first down. He fooled the defense there. They thought Henry Parrish was going to get that one. You don't see TVD's wheels too often, but you see it there on the 3-yard gain.
And George, I'm laughing because defenses used to hate this. When the quarterback that had that jersey on that meant you can't hit him,
Yep.
and you would go out there and run for a first down, they'd get so upset. But great job by TVD, not handing it off, seeing a little edge out there on the sideline, and taking off, getting that first down with his legs.
First down now, inside the 35-yard line, down to the 33. Two tight ends out there for Miami. Van Dyke, blitz coming, throws it, finds Colby Young there, near the marker. They're going to give him a first down there after an 11-yard gain. Brian Balaam with the tackle there. Balaam, pardon me.
And a great get-off by number 9, Nigel Kelly. He's a player that had 4 sacks last season. In my opinion, George, that should have been a sack. We talked about that sack point number, but again, you got an offensive line background head coach. You're going to let that one fly, and a great ball by Tyler Van Dyke right on the numbers.
I'm sure Jason Taylor, though, the defensive line coach, is
Calling
happy
for
with
it.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a great pursuit right there.
Congrats to Jason Taylor, by the way, promoted from analyst to defensive ends coach. Parrish on the left side, not much there. No gain. Here's JT, Hall of Famer. Man's got a gold jacket, and he loves to coach some football. Got a chance to see him yesterday and catch up with him. I was lucky enough, EJ, to cover his career with the Dolphins for many, many years when I lived here in Miami. One of the best dudes around. Hall of Fame player and Hall of Fame person.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Cristobal had nothing but great things to say about Coach Taylor. He's a tenacity. He's bringing it every single day, and he's a guy that shows up with nothing to prove, but he acts like he has everything to prove to this team. He's going to sell out to his players and make sure those guys are ready to go.
They used to have to kick him out of the building, they said, when he was an analyst. You're like, yo, you got to go home now, man. Here's Tyler Van Dyke. Deep pass into the end zone. Incomplete. Good defensive play. Pass a little short for Colby Young. Daryl Porter in coverage.
And George, I like this. Keep working Colby Young. He's 6'5", 215 pounds. Solid coverage here by the corner, Daryl Porter Jr. But again, you get down inside the 25, 20-yard line, get that big fella a chance to go up there and catch that rebound, potentially for a touchdown.
I remember Daryl Porter playing in the NFL as well. He played here in Miami briefly, Buffalo for a number of years. His father. So good to see Junior in a Hurricanes uniform.
Absolutely.
And we got a whistle here. Maybe a false start. Yep. Somebody moved.
False start. Offense, number 16. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
That's Isaiah Horton with the infraction there, the redshirt freshman from Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
And again, these are all good kinks to get out. Of course, you don't want this to happen, but it's practice. It's a situation where the coach is going to go back to the drawing board tomorrow, maybe Monday, critique that player about that because you don't want that to happen, cost you 5 yards. Now it's third and very long.
It's also a good test for the offense, right? Third and long.
Yep.
Kane showing blitz here. And we have another whistle.
Clock operator, please reset the clock to 5:17. 5:17. Thank you.
Wow, in a spring game. Look at that.
Get it
Good
right.
job by the officials.
Get it right.
There we go.
I love it. Now, pre-snap, George, it looks like they may be bringing cover 0, all-out blitz here to try to get this ball out of Tyler Van Dyke's hands. When you see those safeties low and kind of on the same level, you expect the blitz. Came out of it quicker.
But he's being flushed out of the pocket to his left, trying to get out of there. He's on the run, and he's going to get out of bounds. He's not going to get the first down. He's going to be short by about 3 yards as Nigel Kelly ran him out on that far sideline. An 11-yard gain by Tyler Van Dyke.
And coming into this game, talking about defensive coordinator Lance Guidry, he likes to disguise. He likes to show the blitz, jump out of it like he did just there. Tyler Van Dyke was prepared for it, was able to get to the edge, hustle for a really good gain, and now give them a chance to possibly get this fourth down situation.
4th and 4, so we'll see what their fourth down package looks like here for Shannon Dawson and Tyler Van Dyke. Trip set to the right here.
Looking like man coverage down to the bottom of your screen.
Van Dyke, quick toss there to Colby Young, and not much there, incomplete. Daryl Porter with the stick on Colby Young. And the Canes will turn it over on downs.
Yeah, another great play by Daryl Porter Jr. Played in 9 games last year. Transfer from West Virginia. Excellent play.
What do you see here, EJ?
Just reading it. Making a play, coming in, getting his finger in there. Turnover. Other Miami team.
No points again for the offense here on the Canes. Tyler Van Dyke, 3 of 6 for 26 yards on that drive. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Thamel with you here at the Hurricane Spring Game. Jakari Brown now taking over at QB. Don Chaney in the backfield with him. Hand off to Chaney up the middle, pushing the pile. Picks up 4 yards there. Jaden Wayne on the tackle for the defense.
And you know Coach Cristobal wants Coach Dawson to run the football a lot so they can really get a look at this offensive line. They've added a lot of really good players there, some from the transfer portal, some from high school.
Matt Lee is obviously the coveted transfer from UCF. Here's Jakari, pump fake. Now he's going to take off, and you see the wheels there. And they'll give him the first down as he gets beyond the 30-yard line. A 10-yard gain there by Jakari.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, did that ball come out of his hands?
I don't know if it did.
I don't know if this is my view from up here, but it looked like that ball hit the deck, bounced up, and he took off and ran with it. That's why I think Coach Cristobal is bringing these guys back.
Maybe that was because I thought he pump faked.
It was a hard pump fake,
Yeah.
but I also think the ball might have came out of his hands too. Let's see what happens.
From my vantage point, there were too many bodies in the way.
Right. It happened quick too. Can't tell.
So you're right. It looks like they're going to bring him back. It'll be 2nd down and 6. And we got whistles again.
And now it should be 3rd down. Let's
Right.
see what Coach Cristobal says. See, the biggest thing you want to see from a young quarterback like Jakari Brown, especially in this situation, just relax. Because if it's not there, throwing the ball away is fine. Hitting your check down is fine. You don't want to make a rash decision and put the ball in harm's way. He's had a great spring to this point. Excited to see him continue to play in this game.
Let's take a look here. Oh, yeah. You were right. Look at that.
Yeah. Slippery hands. A little sweaty out here. The humidity's rolling. Nerves rolling.
Jakari going deep down the left sideline for Ray Joseph, the freshman out of Miami Edison, highly touted freshman, incomplete there. Chose Miami over Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, LSU, Michigan, and Notre Dame.
Listen, really good coverage by Jaden Harris out of Atlanta, Georgia, Riverwood High School. On Ray, like right on Rice. And look, that ball has to be perfect to get into there. Really cover play, really good cover play by 19, Jaden Harris.
Daniel Ray Joseph now to field the punt here.
And George, going back to my days when I was in college, the hard part about a spring game usually is the fact that the defense knew a lot of our plays. Now maybe that's me just saying that as an offensive player. There was times you make a check, and they're already calling it out, knowing what is going to come. So I do think eventually you might see some double moves here by the offense and allow some of these receivers to get vertically down the field with some big plays.
34-yard punt there. Tyler Van Dyke is back in there. Yeah, I'm assuming that'll be the case for sure.
Absolutely.
They're going to let him rip a little bit as Will Hutchinson with that 34-yard punt. And let's talk about some of that offensive line maneuvering they did. We talked about Matt Lee for a second, the transfer out of UCF. They love him. Everybody's raving about him. Coach Cristobal, Coach Dawson, the players. I mean, he could wear a C on his chest potentially coming up in here. And then, you've got Inez Cooper, who's got some starts under his belt. Francis Mauigoa, the #1 offensive tackle in the country this year. Javion Cohen, an Alabama transfer. And, of course, Jalen Rivers, who had 12 starts for the Hurricanes as well. This is more of a Mario Cristobal-style offensive line.
Absolutely, and they even have some players that aren't playing tonight. Zion Nelson played left tackle for a long time for the Hurricanes, coming back from an injury. When you think about Coach Cristobal and how he wants this Miami team to look, it's going to start up front. Offensive line, defensive line, and even during our conversations this week, we talked about building culture, and it starts up front with that O-line.
Van Dyke in the pocket, pump fakes, They're going to blow the whistles because that pocket was collapsing there.
Absolutely. And that's definitely one of those one-point sacks by the defense. Really getting a good push by this defensive line. I'm impressed. I like it.
Yeah, 7-yard loss there. And that offensive line is being tested for sure.
Absolutely. And the key for a defensive line in this situation, you can't hit the quarterback, so do your best to bull rush. Try to make it a little fuzzy for the QB so he can't step up and really unleash that cannon he has.
2nd and 17 here for Van Dyke. About 3.5 to go here in the first quarter.
Drop 8.
And Dyke throws into coverage, and that one is tipped at the line of scrimmage. And not what we saw early on. That first drive, they looked crisp, and they have not looked the same since, EJ.
Yeah, George, the defense really getting after it these last 2 stanzas out here. And that's a situation where they showed maybe a blitz look, but dropped out 8 guys, only rushed 3. One of the defensive linemen, again, if you can't get home, get your hands up, try to deflect that quarterback like they just did.
3 straight incompletions for Van Dyke. 3rd and 17 here. Payne showing blitz. Van Dyke with time, finds Restrepo over the middle. Restrepo breaks a tackle and gets into the defense's territory. Will pick up a first down there as he picks up 22 on that play.
It's a great job by Tyler Van Dyke going through his progressions, hitches up 3 times, and allows Restrepo to work the linebacker, work the interior of the defense, carve him up for a big-time first down.
Wesley Bassett missed the tackle there on Restrepo. Now the pass to Brashard Smith, a short gain there of 4 yards.
Starting to see the offense get into rhythm. Catch that throw, get the ball out to Brashard Smith, and let him catch that thing, get down, move on to the next play. A little bit of hurry-up offense, too.
Yeah, they definitely looked out of sorts for a couple of drives. Basically, since they got in the red zone a couple of drives ago, they've stalled since, both whether it was Jakari or TVD. And Dyke, under pressure, flings one to the sideline. It's caught there by Colby Young. Makes a move. Got plenty for the first down there and then some as he gets inside the 20-yard line. A 19-yard gain down to the 16.
A great ball by Tyler Van Dyke, but I really like the pass rush from number 99, Ahmad Moten. Again, that could have been a sack. Offensive line coach there as the head coach, letting it fly. Still good throw by TVD, but again, this defensive line at Miami has really impressed me early on in this first quarter.
Ahmad Moten, Fort Lauderdale kid, local kid from Cardinal Gibbons. Back-to-back state champ in high school. Chose Miami over LSU, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Tennessee. Van Dyke on first down. Here comes the blitz. They hand it off to Parrish, trying to turn the corner on the left side, cannot do it. As Markeith Williams was there to push him out of bounds, a 2-yard gain.
Yeah, really nice pursuit by 15, Markeith Williams, to come up from the safety position to push Parrish out to the sideline. It's a little stiff arm right there, too. I like that. It's tough running, man. I'm telling you. Whenever you see good-on-good play against each other in the spring game, that's what you want. It's not always going to be perfect. Not always going to see a bunch of big plays by the offense. Both sides doing really well early on in this game.
Van Dyke certainly trusting his receivers more. Last year, Restrepo was out for a big chunk of the season, and there were a lot of young guys out there, but these guys now have another year of experience under their belts. He goes into the end zone for a touchdown to Jacoby George.
That's what we want to see. Exactly right there, George. We talked about it. TVD playing quick. He saw it pre-snap. You had press coverage out wide, safety in the middle of the field. And I said it before, when you get inside the 20-yard line, around the 18, get those big-time receivers a chance to go up and catch that football. Thrown right into the breadbasket there. Excellent catch. Jacoby George.
Jacoby George from Plantation High. The number 16 receiver in his class a couple years ago. He's a junior. Gets him on the board, and finally we see the pitch and catch work into the end zone. The extra point by Borregales is good.
Really good stutter step there. Froze him and went right to the pylon. As a quarterback, you're taught to throw that thing at the pylon and 2 yards down. Great pass by Tyler Van Dyke. And during the week, offensive coordinator and quarterback coach Shannon Dawson talked about with this offense, he wanted TVD to have success early. So he knew that this offense would be something that would fit him and suit him well. Excellent play call, excellent execution, Beautiful throw, beautiful catch, taken in by George.
Are we sure Van Dyke doesn't have an earpiece with our broadcast? Because I had just mentioned he had 3 straight incompletions, and then from there on out, he had 4 straight completions for 62 yards and that touchdown to Jacoby George. Right when I was saying that he needed to get a little more rapport with his receivers. He got a chance to do some of that last year in a season that didn't go their way, and you see that with Jacoby George.
And George, I tell you, from watching Tyler Van Dyke, every time he gets in the rhythm, it starts with his roommate Xavier Restrepo. That big catch for a first down. I think it was second or third and long. Got him going.
Emory Williams in at quarterback. He hands it off on his first play there to Terrell Walden out of Winter Gardens, Florida, West Orange High School. But Emory Williams, true freshman early enrollee, picked Miami over Auburn, Cal, FSU, Pitt, and Wisconsin, a 4-star player, 14th ranked quarterback in his class.
Yeah, this coaching staff is really excited about Emory Williams. Said he's technically be going to prom now. He's an early enrollee, so you got to appreciate the fact that he wanted to get his college career started early. But a lot of growth for this young man over the last 14 practices. Let's see what he can do in his 15th in this spring game.
I mean, prom's fun, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
if you can play quarterback at the U, you know?
It's a little cooler.
And nowadays, I feel like kids have proms all the time. Junior prom, freshman prom. There's a prom all the time.
And George, maybe he's able to even go back to his prom.
Right.
Somebody might invite him and he can go hang out and have a good time. And
Exactly.
wears Miami jackets and all that kind of stuff. Would be nice.
He could be the big man on campus then for sure.
Absolutely.
Mike Perrano in at running back there. Getting a little run. Short game.
And I like the fact that this is technically the 3rd string quarterback, but he's in there with some receivers that have juice. You got number 12, Ryder Washington. He's a fellow freshman. You got Isaiah Horton down at the bottom, number 16.
Ray Joseph is out there as well. Got a whistle here. So the Miami spring game, we're starting to see some fireworks on both sides of the ball. How much more? We'll see. Long night ahead of us. We'll find out. Welcome back to the Miami Hurricanes spring game. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Damo with you here. A beautiful night here in South Florida. We're up in Fort Lauderdale at Drive Pink Stadium, the home of Inter Miami, the MLS team here in South Florida, which will eventually move down to Miami proper. Tyler Van Dyke and company doing their thing. We saw Emory Williams in the game now. And obviously a recruit that matters to them as you see him throw outside, and he connects there with Nathaniel Ray Joseph. Picks up enough for the first down.
It's a good strike right there by the young quarterback. And Ray Joseph is one of those players that this staff is extremely excited about. A true freshman, probably the fastest. You leave it to him to say it. He's the fastest player on the team. And really stretched right out there to get that catch was huge on 3rd down.
Miami Edison High School in the house. Emory Williams directing traffic to his tight end. He's definitely invested in that playbook, you can see there. Hand off on the left side to Terrell Walden. Not much there. But I like that. I like to see Emory Williams telling dudes where to line up.
Absolutely. And you saw Coach Dawson coming off the sideline a little bit, getting guys in the right spot. And this is a really young group. You got the true freshman at quarterback, true freshman at receiver, and Ray. Tight end Jackson Carver, another true freshman, getting an opportunity to make some plays in this game. Again, these guys got to be a little bit nervous, George, but that's a part of it. Work those kinks out, start moving this ball down the field.
There's a lot of young tight ends here. Jackson Carver, Riley Williams, Jaleel Skinner is also just in his 2nd year. If you watched Mario Cristobal at Oregon, a lot of tight ends got run up there. Williams throws off his back foot towards the left sideline, and we got a catch. Isaiah Horton catches the ball inside the 20-yard line. A 34-yard catch there. Pitch and catch, Terry Roberts in coverage.
And good pursuit by Roberts there, but again, nothing you can really do. A well-thrown ball by Emory Williams off his back foot, but give your receiver a chance to come back for that catch. Because at worst, you're going to get a defensive pass interference or a catch like you just saw right there. A huge pull-in by Isaiah Horton.
The longest play of the game. They'll actually mark him at the 23-yard line. So Williams runs to the line quickly. Play action. Bootleg there to Riley Williams, who we mentioned earlier. Those young tight ends we're seeing there, and a lot of recruiting Obviously, with this group over the last couple of years, a lot of turnover since Mario Cristobal has been here. And a man at the center of that recruiting is Mike Rumpf, and he's with Pete.
Yeah, guys, big smile on Mike Rumpf's face when Isaiah Horton hauled in that pass. He's a sophomore. He's one of what will be 50 new players come next fall on the Hurricane roster. That's 60% of the players turned over in less than 2 years. And Mike Rumpf, obviously part of the 2001 National Championship team, former first-round pick. Mike, talk about the challenge of building the Hurricanes to the ideal that you guys set a generation ago.
Times have changed, so this generation is totally different. But I think we adapted well, and we do a great job of getting the most competitive kids. We check everything about the kids before they come in, and once they're out there on Green Tree, they all have one ingredient: they love to fight, they love to compete. So I think Coach Cristobal has done a great job laying the foundation of what the future has to come.
We all hear Mario Cristobal is a relentless recruiter. How could you show us that?
Oh, man. I mean, on vacation, we're not vacationing, We're always staying in contact and communicating with the parents and the kids. He remembers birthdays. He remembers everything about the kids, no matter how many come in the building. So it's nonstop. I've never been around a recruiter like him.
So there's more than 200 recruits from all local high schools here tonight. What do you hope to show them in this spring game, Mike?
I hope to show them just the Cane mentality. We're very physical.
We play third down.
We play tough football and smart football. And when we all come together, it's a beautiful thing. We got guys from the 50s, the 60s, 70s. We all come back and support. So this is not just 4 years and done. This is a lifetime when you're a Cane.
All right, we're going to kick it back upstairs, but tell us the restaurant that you take all the recruits to on their official visit.
There's so many restaurants out there, but my favorite restaurant of all, Prime 112.
Come on. All right. Thanks, guys.
Listen, man, if you know Miles down at Prime 112,
Good.
you know what it's like. So Mike Rumpf is speaking the gospel right there, EJ Manuel.
Absolutely.
Great job, Pete, with Mike. I remember Mike Rumpf here in his playing days at the University of Miami. Incredible college player, played in the pros for many years as well. Here's Emory Williams taking off, looking around, saying, hey, nobody's going to be around.
Big fella.
I'm going to keep going.
I think they might have called that as a sack. Finally, George, the first sack that Coach Mario Cristobal actually called out. And really good pursuit here by Ruben Bain. This staff has been extremely excited about this young man. Four-star player coming out of Miami Central High School. Bright future for 4-4.
Ruben Bain, again, legacy player. Tolbert Bain, his father, played at the University of Miami on those great teams in the 80s. And we'll see a field goal attempt here. It was funny, though. I saw him looking around. He's probably wondering, like, wait, am I going to get away with that one? I'm going to just keep running until I hear a whistle. Borregala's a 51-yard attempt here. Testing his leg, Borregales, who has a big leg. The kick is up and good. Excellent job there. Borregales, a weapon certainly for the Canes in the kicking game. Let's see more weapons on offense here shortly. Draft time is upon us here as we are at the Miami Hurricanes spring game. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Thamel with you here. And EJ, you know what it's like for these young men going through this draft process. What is that like at this time?
Yeah, at this point in the draft process, you've done the combine, you've done your pro day, you've done all your meetings with the teams. You just kind of get a chance to take a deep breath before the actual draft comes up, especially for Anthony Richardson and C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. These guys know they're going to be picked probably in the top 10. So a lot to look forward to in the next couple of weeks with those guys.
And Dyke back in there, sidearm to Jacoby George. And he's going to turn on the Jets going down the sideline and tripped up there in defensive territory inside the 45-yard line by Francisco Mauigoa.
A really nice play call here by Shannon Dawson. Excellent throw, catch set, get it out. Got to navigate the trees a little bit, so to speak, with those defensive ends, get their hands up. But again, Jacoby George catching that ball, getting north-south, finding the hole, and taking off. Big play.
32-yard gain there. Handoff on the left side to Chaney. Breaks a couple of tackles, gets inside the 40-yard line down to the 38 to Corey Couch with the tackle there.
So these Miami fans have a lot to look forward to with this new offensive coordinator. I went back and watched a lot of games at Houston, at least 3 of them. They did some tunnel screens just like that, and then come back with the balance of the inside zone. Really makes it hard, stresses the defense to play solid on the sideline.
Van Dyke in trouble there. And are they going to blow the whistle? That one's incomplete to Restrepo. Let's check in with Pete right now. Pete,
Well, guys, watch center Matt Lee, the UCF transfer, going to this. Every play, it looks like he's conducting an orchestra down there. He's probably the biggest orchestra conductor in South Florida. He's pointing, he's moving, he's squatting, he's yapping. He is the quintessential grizzled veteran at center in a much-needed upgrade on an offensive line that really struggled for Miami last year. You can imagine how Mario Cristobal treated an offensive line that couldn't block. Talked to Matt Lee the other day. What a delightful bolt of energy he was on the phone. He said when he came down on his visit, it meant a lot to him that Tyler Van Dyke flew back from Connecticut on Christmas break to host him. He also said he brought him to Smith & Wolinski's and the Rusty Pelican. So, needless to say, after a weekend in Miami and appreciating the legacy of the Cane tradition, he committed on the spot.
Well, Smith & Wolinski's great down on South Beach. Rusty Pelican and Key Biscayne, that's a local spot right there.
It's a hot spot, absolutely.
For sure. But Matt Lee, Coach Cristobal raving about him, said he's special, said it's like the guys he's had at Bama or Oregon. It compared him to a Brett Romberg here at Miami, who led Miami to a couple of national championship game appearances. So they love Matt Lee.
And look, Coach Cristobal's not going to lie to you. He said he's a glue. Reminds him of Ryan Kelly, who he coached at Alabama, 3-time Pro Bowler in the NFL, in Indianapolis Colts. A lot of high praise for the center, 55 Matt Lee.
Fourth down here for Van Dyke. Thrown across the field. It's complete for Jacoby George, who he seems to be building a nice connection with here. Devontae Brown in coverage after a 10-yard gain.
And once again, Najee Kelly, number 9. A little twist inside right there. Gets up on the left guard. You know what I love about this? This team knows how to practice. Nobody's coming in on the quarterback.
10-yard penalty, replay fourth down.
Oh, there's going to be a hold on the play. But you're right, Najee Kelly. Jason Taylor, I saw him working with Najee Kelly, and I think, I didn't ask Jason this, but Jason was coaching him hard. And I feel like Jason sees some of maybe himself a little bit in Najee Kelly, particularly the body type, and he can be a special player for them for sure.
Absolutely. And Miami's going to count on him throughout this season. Of course, a lot of the defensive line are out, recovering from injuries, not playing in the spring game. But you could imagine Najee Kelly's going to have a huge say what this defense does for the Hurricanes in this 2023 season.
With the holding penalty, it's now 4-17, so they're going to punt this one. Punt here by Dylan Joyce and fielded by Restrepo at the 11-yard line. Dylan Joyce from Australia, punt 40 yards. Miami had certainly a lot of success with an Australian punter in recent years. And I feel like, listen, there's a lot of Australian punters in college football these days now.
Absolutely.
There's a pipeline down there.
Yeah, hair out of the tats and just kind of a cool punter. I actually played with a really cool punter when I was in the NFL, Marquette King. For some of those that may remember that name. He's actually in the XFL right now doing his thing. Punters always have their own little thing about them. I mean, their own little personality.
They're different dudes.
They're different dudes. Kickers are too. But punters are always a little more special. Love those guys.
Jakari Brown checking in for the Canes now here. A little over 8 minutes to go in the second quarter. Take another look here at Jakari. Hand off up the middle to Terrell Walden. Not much there.
I'd really like to see Jakari get a drive going here. Maybe a quick throw, potentially let a receiver catch it, make somebody miss, and get some positive yards.
Defenses look pretty good, though.
Very good.
Yeah.
Defense is stout tonight.
Yeah.
I tell you, that 4-2-5 style, it's hard because you think, okay, I can run the football because there's only 2 linebackers and 4 D linemen. But these guys do a great job of filling their gaps, holding down their responsibilities.
2nd and 9 after a gain of 1. Jakari, play action. Launch it to the sideline. Complete there. Near the 20-yard line to Isaiah Horton.
Isaiah Horton, his name has come up a lot today, George. Had a big-time catch on the go ball. Out there in the flat by himself. Nice, easy catch and throw.
9-yard gain there for Horton.
Big 3rd-and-1 situation right here. See if this defense can get another stop, get off the field.
Would you like to see Jakari throw it here, perhaps, or run it?
3rd and short, I'm assuming they're going to run.
Yeah.
The offensive line, let's see if they can actually gain a yard. That's something with a head coach that has an offensive line background. He's going to put that challenge on these guys to gain that yard.
Terrell Walden in the backfield takes the snap, bouncing it to the outside, drags some defenders to the 30-yard line. And a gain of 8 on that play as Terry Roberts brings him down. So there you see the offense churning the chains there with a run.
Yep. A really good push, point of attack by this offensive line. Now, this is the second group again. Really doing a good job. A missed tackle there by 59. Nonetheless, a nice hard run by Walker. Move chains.
First down for Jakari. Now we'll see him throw it. And nice pass there. Pitch and catch to Robbie Washington, enough for a first down. 11-yard gain there. And he put a little fastball out there, a little mustard on that
A
one.
little mustard on that one, George. You love to see a quarterback thread the needle in that situation. Putting that ball low and away to help his receiver protect himself. Right over the top of the head of the linebacker. He had no chance because there was so much juice on that thing. A really solid throw. Nice catch by the freshman Robbie Washington out of Miami Palmetto.
Now we're seeing Jakari, as you mentioned, getting the drive going here.
I'll tell you what, it's just like a shooter in basketball. Once you see that ball go through the net as a quarterback, you're just getting a rhythm.
Jakari drops back, throws over the middle. Ooh, that one, a dangerous pass, almost picked off by Keontre Smith. Hit him right in the chest.
And once again, this 4-2-5 defense, it causes a lot of problems because you think there's things that are going to be there, and as soon as you try to throw it, linebackers, nickels, they fall right back into it, especially versus the zone. Really good job by Keontre Smith reading his keys, getting to the hook curl area, coming back inside, almost interception by the big man.
That one intended for Robbie Washington. 3 white jerseys, though, in the area. Dangerous pass by Jakari Brown. Second down. Kane showing blitz. An end around here for Ray Joseph, and a flag on the play as he'll pick up a couple of yards, but we'll see if it's coming back.
Tell you what I like to see from this offense. They're really stressing the defense to play sideline to sideline. Jet sweeps.
Holding. Offense, number 85. 10-yard penalty for the spot of the foul. Replay second down.
We've seen that now a couple of times on those jet sweeps or those end arounds, where the offensive linemen getting their hand caught in the cookie jar.
Absolutely. And when Coach Dawson was at Houston, he had a player named Tank Dale. Pretty good player. Going to be a top draft pick here in the next couple of days or couple of weeks. And he would do the same thing with that speed that I think Ray Joseph has been showing throughout the offseason. Put that ball in the ball player's hands and let them make the plays.
Second and 17 for Jakari. Kane's defense showing blitz again. Here they come off the edge. They dump it to Ray, but he drops it there. Are they going to say he's able to pick it up? Yep, and he's going to lose a ton of yardage. Right idea, poor execution on that one, a loss of 10 on the play.
Yeah, and George, in this situation, a coaching point for Jakari Brown, when you throw an orbit screen out wide, you always either want to throw it downhill in the sense of it being a forward pass, or once you do throw it, fade back. Yeah. Because then once the side judge, the referee sees it, even if it is a fumble, you're behind where the football is. A little coaching point for the young guy.
That's excellent right there. It seems like you've played that position before.
Once or twice, done it a couple times. Had to learn the hard way as well, too, just like that. Good thing Joseph got back on.
So Jakari going the wrong way at the moment. 3rd and 27. And to your point, right, you want to give Ray an opportunity to catch it. Maybe put a little air under it, too.
Exactly.
Jakari with time here. And the pocket closing on him, and they'll say that's a sack. Ruben Bain was there, of course, the freshman. Legacy player, as I mentioned, from Miami Central. Number 7 defensive end in the country, a 4-star athlete, a 6-yard loss there.
Yeah, this is a situation, 3rd and long. Ruben Bain just really pinning his ears back, working the right tackle there. Comes in for a sack. But another coaching point to a young quarterback in Jakari Brown, when it's 3rd and forever, don't try to force the football down the field. The likelihood of you throwing a deep ball or a post or something like that is pretty slim. They want to drop 8 guys. They know it's 3rd and forever, so they're not going to let you get behind them. Take what's there, even if it's a check down for 10 yards, that's fine. Move on, live another day. Don't turn that ball over, hold it back for a sack.
Get the positive yards for sure. There's the punt by Joyce. This one's a good punt. And a fair catch there by Ray Joseph. 46-yard punt for the Australian for the University of Miami. Let's see what the offense does on the next drive. Mario Cristobal, year 2 of the Cristobal era. Here are some of the records and his other head coaching stops. Year 1 to year 2, there's always been improvement, and I'm guessing we'll see that here, EJ.
George, we're definitely going to see improvement. I tell you, the defense is getting after the offense is making plays. And in our conversations with Mario Cristobal during the week, he just wants to build that mentality of hard work. And not just a cliche, but don't be afraid to go out there and grind and do what you got to do to become the best player you can be.
Van Dyke flushed out of the pocket, throws on the run. It is complete to Colby Young. And they will mark him out of bounds at the 44-yard line. A gain of 7 on the play. Corey Couch in coverage.
Really good scramble drill right there by the receivers. If you notice, one went deep, one went to the intermediate sideline, then Colby Young coming down for the relief.
Henry Parrish up the middle. Picks up the first down. Excellent run there. Keontra Smith on the tackle.
This first team offense really has a solid rhythm going. Once they get seems like the first pass completed, they just kind of get on a roll, whether it's the run game or the passing game after that.
Van Dyke does look so much more comfortable in this offense.
Absolutely.
I don't even think it's a question.
Absolutely. Whether it's breaking the pocket, standing in the pocket, looks really clean tonight.
Yep. And he launches one for Restrepo, the diving catch. Are they going to say he got it? No, they're going to say incomplete. It's like, hey, man, come on. I stretched out for it.
Really good try right there by Restrepo. And also potentially a sack here.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Coach Cristobal is going to call that, but again, that roommate connection is so important because when things break down, you always see TVD find his slot receiver, Xavier Restrepo.
Restrepo still has some turf on his, all over his body, and the helmet, the shoulder pads. He's kind of like, wait a minute, man, come on. So TVD in the gun on second down here. Hand off up the middle to Parrish. It's a couple of yards. Makes it a manageable third down situation. And I feel like last year when I watched this Miami team, EJ, there were way too many third and longs for them.
Exactly. Look, that run to me, 4 or 3 yards, that's fine. That's all you want as a coordinator. Just give me something positive so then I have a third and manageable to work with. 3rd and 7 is not too bad to execute.
Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot a ton last year. And they looked, at least in the second quarter, a little cleaner than they did in the first. Van Dyke. With time. Oh, and they got him. There's Ruben Bain, legacy player.
Once again.
His uncle Tolbert Bain. Beat Jalen Rivers there for that sack. And an 8-yard loss. And you know why Ruben Bain was one of the more coveted defensive line players in the nation. Absolutely. Here in South Florida. You see why.
Yeah, I mean, to have that type of pressure by a freshman who should still technically be in high school, George.
Yeah.
3 sacks in the first half, excellent play. And that's against the first team offensive line. So that's a really, really nice productive move there for the young man. We might be seeing a lot of him come to fall.
And that's the type of player, you know, when you look at the type of kids that you can get here in South Florida, that's the type of player Miami wasn't getting enough of. You know, prior to Mario Cristobal's arrival. There was some of that when Coach Richt was here, but in between, it felt like recruiting fell off a little bit.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, even when I was coming out of high school, and I'm from Virginia, but I knew Miami wanted to keep their in-home players home. Whether it was Miami Northwestern, Miami Central, Booker T, they're going to try to do their best to keep their talent here in the 305.
Let's take a look at this class. Last year, 5th-ranked class in the FBS, according to ESPN. Look at those names, man. A couple of those guys are going to play a lot on Saturdays.
Yeah, absolutely. And Francis Mauigoa is the main one that stands out to me. Now, Bradenton obviously means he was the IMG.
Yeah.
3 players on this list from IMG Academy. But again, staying home to the central South Florida area is so big for this program, for this team, for the culture, and the mindset that the Canes are trying to bring back here to Coral Gable.
When Miami's been the most successful, they rope off what they call the state of Miami, basically south of I-4 in Orlando, all the way down, through Dade County.
Absolutely.
And I still call it Dade County. I know it's Miami-Dade County, but I grew up here. So
old school, yes, sir.
33 seconds here left in the half. Defense looking good thus far, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The defense is looking good, but you want to see Jakari Brown make good decisions here. Don't force the ball. 33 seconds left. You get a couple completions, great.
There he gets one to Robbie Washington.
Good move.
Short of the first down. It'll be a 9-yard gain. They call timeout.
I'll tell you, George, going back and watching the tape of Jakari Brown, he was a fun player to watch. I really think he is. I know Tyler Van Dyke's QB1, and you said this earlier, that he can be that next guy here at Miami. Extremely well-spoken young man, very mature for his age. For the guy.
He was the first true freshman to get a start at Miami since 2014. Got in 8 games last year in some way, shape, or form. They had packages for him, obviously, based on his incredible athleticism.
You have that athleticism aspect about your game at quarterback. You naturally are always going to have to answer those questions. Well, can he throw from the pocket? Can he win games from the pocket?
But that's a developmental process.
Every quarterback,
yeah.
Exactly. But it's heightened. You have that ability to take off and run as well. So
yeah, you can't teach 6'4", 210 as a sophomore.
Not at all.
Jakari looking left, completes there to Ray Joseph. Cuts back, makes a guy miss, still going. Stays on his feet and tackled at the 39-yard line. He's going to pick up a first down. Jabari Ishmael brings him down after a 25-yard gain.
Spike right here, nice. Stop the clock.
Stops it at 11 seconds, although I feel like the clock operator may have taken a second away there. Got the home cooking here. You can't take a second away. You got to give it back.
Get 2 or 3 plays here before we go to the half. Why not? Take a shot, a little double move out wide.
But you see the speed of Ray right there too.
Yeah, he's special.
He cut back and it was like zoom right through there.
I watched one of his post-practice interviews on YouTube, and the guy just exuded with confidence. Loves to be a Hurricane. Works his tail off.
Here's Jakari with plenty of time. Checks it down.
Nice.
To Riley Williams.
Another freshman at the IMG Academy.
There's a pipeline there now. Yeah, Mario's building that pipeline there for sure.
Great place to get him.
But with Ray, you mentioned just his exuberance. Look, man, this is the school that invented swagger in college football, so you got to have some of those guys.
Listen, when you hear this young man talk, he reminds you of what a Miami Hurricane is supposed to sound like. Extremely confident, going to back it up with his play, and works his tail off. Doesn't ask me questions, can't ask more from a young player like that.
3rd and 2, 5 seconds to go here in the first half. Jakari taking his time. We're going to see that cannon. Yes, we are. He's going to launch it down the field.
Go up again.
And it's knocked away. Intended for number 16, Isaiah Horton. Terry Roberts eventually knocked it down. So that'll do it for the first half. EJ, what do you make of what we've seen thus far?
Both sides have made plays. Ruben Bain, obviously the freshman from Miami Central, has definitely stood out. 3 sacks in the first half. But we saw Tyler Van Dyke toss up a beautiful throw to Isaiah Horton, who came down for a touchdown in the high red zone. Really, really good balanced game. I like what I'm seeing from offense and defense. That's what you want to see in the spring game. It's not always going to be lopsided. You want to see both sides make plays.
Let's check in with Pete, who's got Mario Cristobal.
Yeah. Here with Mario Cristobal. Mario, good action on both sides, I think. What were your early impressions?
Well, we made some plays on both sides of the ball. Got a little sloppy halfway through that whole thing, but you see pretty decent effort. From an alignment standpoint, holding on to the ball too long standpoint, not finishing on plays, the things you want to clean up. Those things are showing up, but you are seeing guys competing, and we got to keep this thing going in the second half. We will go to a thud tempo now. I mean that we will stay up, and there'll be a running clock. We got 34 plays with the ones, I believe, somewhere in that vicinity with the twos as well. We want to get 70 live plays. Now we're going to transition.
We didn't ask you before the game about Lance Guidry. His defense obviously is very different. What did you see out of it live tonight?
Yeah, well, he's not going to open up the whole thing tonight, but what you see is he changes the picture on you. And when you're an offensive coach, it's difficult to train your guys in a consecutive, play after play for that picture to change, make those adjustments, and make it work. So he's really smart. He's a back-end guy. He connects the front and the back end really, really well. great connector. I mean, that guy's got the ability to connect with just about everyone, and he's made a tremendous impact so far.
A couple young guys really flashed. That just put a smile on your face.
Well, you know what? They are. You know, they're making plays. I mean, you saw Ruben Bain applying pressure constantly. Jaden Wayne, the same stuff. You know, the young receivers are making plays. Good to see Jacoby George. That's what we need out of him all the time. And, you know, Tyler, he got hot early. We hung on to the ball a little bit too long there, but he's playing some good football. And, you know, we had a couple guys that are down that, you know, other guys got to step up. So we're making progress. Still got a ways to go.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank you, Pete. Coach Cristobal. Still some work to do. The tempo coming up in the second half as we got a running clock. We'll have more action here from Fort Lauderdale at the Hurricane Spring Game in a moment. So we'll see what this looks like here in the second half. Again, a running clock. And we'll hear from Miami Athletic Director Dan Radakovich with Pete as well. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Thamel with you here at Drive Pink Stadium, the home of Inter Miami, the MLS team. At least for the next several years until they get their stadium down in Miami proper. And the Canes, speaking of stadiums and things of that nature and facilities, Miami's facilities have changed in a big, big way over the years. I was down there yesterday, and it doesn't look like anything like when I used to cover this team back in 2001. Wow.
George has changed so much, and I actually was recruited by Miami, wanted to come to Miami. This is back in 2006. It was a 2008 grad, came in for a visit, and I just was so shocked by the facilities were not up to snuff, but you go there now, it is state-of-the-art, beautiful indoor facilities, practice facilities, film room, weight room, everything is top-notch.
Probably more to come here. Handoff up the middle. Breaks free, Don Chaney, and they're going to whistle him down at about the 36-yard line.
Now, just to remind our viewers, this is a third period. Yeah. So, as a player and as an offensive player, there were times where the coach might blow the whistle and the times that he may not blow the whistle.
So you got to keep going.
It's a good run right there by number 2, Donald Chaney.
It's good to see Chaney back in action, as we talked about earlier, suffering a number of injuries upon arrival here at the University of Miami. And he was an incredible high school player.
Yep.
So there's a lot of talent there for Don Chaney.
Over 4,500 rushing yards in high school, 60 touchdowns. Big time.
See him here again. He gets hit by Daryl Porter at the line of scrimmage.
Daryl Porter's name's come up a bunch tonight from the corner position. The thing I love about Miami's corners, even to Tariq Stevenson, who's going in the NFL draft, studying him, these guys like to tackle. Some corners don't like that contact, but these guys are willing tacklers. They're going to stick their face mask in there and get you down for a tackle out in the flat.
Got a flag here, some movement along the defensive front. It'll be offsides. And we mentioned all the changes at the University of Miami. And
Offside. Defense, number 55. 5-yard penalty. Remains third down.
And of course, that's the way of college sports and college athletics. And it's been not just the football team, the basketball team, all the sports have gotten an upgrade. And Dan Radakovich, the athletic director, is with Pete right now to discuss that and much more.
Yeah, guys, Dan Radakovich was one of the architects behind Clemson's revival. He helped build behind the scenes, the facilities, and helped Dabo Swinney put together the staff that put together one of the most recent great runs in college football history. He comes back to Miami, where he started earlier in his career, to try to do the same. And Dan, frame the challenge for me and how far you think you've come in a little over a year.
Well, first of all, Pete, it's great to have you here in South Florida. Great to have you here on the ACC Network. It's been a lot of fun, but it's been a process. And when Mario got here a couple of days before I did, so we basically came together. We understood that it was going to be a process, and he worked last year, from the standpoint of inside the football program. I worked outside to be able to help create some resources. Some changes were made. He had a great recruiting year. So I think what we're seeing right now is not only some on the field, some really quality young players mixed in with some of the veterans, but a really great enthusiasm, with the staff and with the players.
What can this program be, Dan?
It can be Miami, and that's all it can be. And that's pretty special in college football. When things are going right here at the University of Miami, we're a national brand. We galvanize the South Florida community, especially from the football perspective, and I think that's where Mario's taken us.
We just saw Miami in basketball, both programs in the Elite Eight, obviously the men's program in the Final Four. Walk us through what that run was like for you, Dan.
Well, it was great. I mean, Coach Larinaga, Coach Meyer, their student athletes really helped excite our campus, our community with their run. A lot of great young people. That's one of the great things about college basketball and into the postseason. If you get embedded with them and you get to know them really well, and just some quality student athletes, and really, really proud of what both programs accomplished.
Dan, do you think it's more important now than ever to have infrastructure in place and to have outside infrastructure in place with NIL for programs to succeed and thrive in this new landscape?
No question. And I think, understanding how you go about gathering those resources, how you disperse those resources, all those things coming together, having a great infrastructure, as you mentioned, to be able to have that happen, because it needs to continue. It's not just a one-year thing. It's not like raising money for a building. When you raise money for a building, you get it done and you move on. This is something that you have to do year after year because your student athletes change. So we're excited about that opportunity here as well.
All right, guys, they're turning the battleship here to make Miami, Miami again. Back to you.
All right, Pete, thank you. Dan Radakovich with Pete, the athletic director at the University of Miami. And he was here back in the old days.
Defense, number 55. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
So that was Jacob Lichtenstein. Played at Miami last year. Prior to that was a transfer from USC, local kid from Fort Lauderdale. But Dan Radakovich, as he mentioned, he was here. Pete had mentioned he started his career in the 80s, back in the heydays of Jimmy Johnson and those guys, Howard Schnellenberger, Dennis Erickson, obviously. 4 national championships in that stretch alone.
Absolutely. So he knows what it's supposed to look like, George.
Here's Tyler Van Dyke to the boundary there. Are they going to say complete to Colby Young? They are. They're going to say he is out of bounds at the 39-yard line. Darryl Porter pushes him out.
A really nice, simple out route by Colby Young. Good throw right there. Nice pace, getting that 1 foot down. College rules. Tuck that every time. Especially when that corner plays soft. We've seen a lot of this defense play some press coverage. Colby Young also had a really nice press release slant that he caught 2 or 3 plays ago. But again, those are the easy throws that you want to see Tyler Van Dyke knock those down with his eyes closed almost.
One thing Dan Radakovich said, which is 100% true as someone who is a native here to South Florida, is how when this team is rolling, it does galvanize the city in a way that maybe other teams don't. We got a run here up the middle. Don Chaney, are they going to give him the touchdown? Yes, sir. 38 yards for a score as he's galvanizing the offense at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of those calls with the O-line coach, a head coach, letting something fly. Looked like 2 guys might have thudded him up there. But again, a really nice run by Donald Chaney and all the things that he's had to do to persevere to get back healthy again.
Longest play of the game.
See that thud right there, about 15. I think he probably would have called him down. That was Markeith Williams from the safety spot. But nonetheless, they actually do bring it back here, George. Nonetheless, that was a 4th down situation. Excellent push by the offensive line, creating a gap for Chaney to run through, move those chains to first down.
Right, so they won't give him the touchdown, but they do give him the first down. As I was mentioning, it does galvanize the city when this team is rolling. I remember growing up when they were winning in those days in the 80s. I was a little kid, and black, white, Hispanic, the whole community was just all about the Canes.
Absolutely. Look, college football is a better place when Miami's good. That's just a fact. When this team matters down here in the South, it's just a different feel. And besides the fact that it's good for Miami, it's great for the ACC. When this team is competitive, playing in some of their out-of-conference games, they got some big matchups against Southern Miss, Texas A&M. Get them here down in South Florida. You want to see Miami play well. You want to see this quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, because he is a national kind of guy. Definitely potential top draft pick if he plays to his potential.
Yeah, last year going into the season, there was a lot of chatter of him being a first-round type quarterback, and then, of course, the injury struck. Hands it off to Walden.
And Tyler Van Dyke, staying on him, his biggest, key in this spring was just to learn the offense.
Sure.
You got to remember, this is 3 different coordinators in 3 seasons for this young man.
Yeah.
So Rhett Lashley, Josh Gaddis, and now Shannon Dawson. So the sooner that he can learn this offense, the sooner that he can start teaching it to the 10 guys around him there on the field, the sooner he can get back to winning a lot of football games.
Coach Dawson told us he connected very quickly with Tyler Van Dyke. A lot of conceptual stuff in the RPO game that Tyler was familiar with. And Dawson is a great teacher, there's no doubt. Here's Van Dyke over the middle, finds his man, Rashard Smith, for another first down inside the 10-yard line.
And George, I love when quick game is done the right way. And what I mean by that is catch, set, throw by Tyler Van Dyke. Rashard Smith does a great job of working the leverage of the interior back, whether that was a linebacker or a nickel, got inside of him, showed him his number right there between the zero, put it right in his chest. Big time game, and that's what you love. You see a quarterback bang his receiver like that.
Rashard Smith from Richmond Heights, Florida here, Palmetto High School. Van Dyke with time, finds his man.
Nice.
And into the end zone for a touchdown is Rashard Smith. No, they're going to say down at the 1. He was thudded at the 1.
George, I love this play because you see the progressions there. You had the running back, Cheney, on a wheel route. So Tyler Van Dyke takes his eyes to the left, which allows him to come right back inside with Rashard Smith on a drag route. And this was live action. I think this might have been a touchdown because I don't know if this player is going to make that tackle there. Maybe so. Yeah. 51. He's probably
Maui might have gotten
him.
Yeah,
Francisco Maui might have got him down, but nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, it was at least a battle potentially at the goal line.
Absolutely.
Right.
But a really clean progression by Tyler Van Dyke. Love what he's been doing tonight.
So they're going to give Borregales another kick attempt here. A 21-yard attempt for Borregales. Kick is up and good.
And I'll tell you what, George, I actually like the scoring format. You got a 20-20 game right now. It honors the defense because they work hard too. And sometimes you can't always have the points with the pick sixes or the fumble returns. So you give them points off of sacks, you give them points off of 3 and outs, you give them points off of stops. We got ourselves a tight game here in the second half of the spring game. Like what I'm saying from you.
Coach Guidry versus Coach Dawson. Two Cajuns going at it. I know that they...
Who's going to get the crawfish?
I mean, Pete Thamel was talking crawfish all week, it felt like.
Yeah.
Pete, I don't know if you're still there.
Oh, I'm here. I've been waiting for the crawfish talk all night. Lance Guidry likes crawfish so much that he begged his old head coach at Marshall, Charles Huff, to let him recruit Louisiana on the final days of recruiting. And then he wanted to rent a U-Haul and bring back sacks of crawfish to Huntington, West Virginia, where I'm guessing there aren't a lot of local crawfish. So Charles Huff did not let Lance Guidry do this, and he still holds it against him. And Huff could only laugh. There is also a secret Cajun steak marinade that he told us involves some sort of spice rub from a small grocery store in an itty-bitty town in Louisiana. And when we pressed for details, he said, if I told you, I'd have to kill you, and I don't want to try a steak that much, guys.
Yeah, I'm with you. Incomplete pass there to Ray Joseph, underthrown a little bit there. But it's funny, when we were on the Zoom call with Coach Guidry there, and he was talking about that marinade. Jason Taylor was in the room.
And background.
And he said, don't do it. He didn't want to give up the steak marinade to us.
Absolutely.
So I asked Coach Guidry, was Coach Taylor teaching you about the finer things about cigar smoking?
Correct.
Because JT is big on cigars. And he says they're trading off there. Steak marinade for a cigar.
I did hear Worcester sauce, which obviously is great on a marinade on the steak. So at least one piece to the puzzle there. Coach Guidry. Maybe we'll be lucky enough to try one of those steaks sometimes in the offseason before we get rolling here before the fall.
Absolutely. Completed pass there to Frank Ladson, former Clemson transfer. 9-yard gain.
Got a busted coverage there one play ago. Ray Joseph almost came up with the catch. You just want to see Jakari Brown put that thing, give it a little bit of air instead of throwing it on such a line to allow that receiver to get the catch and then just take off and run with his speed.
And the third quarter is over. We got one more quarter to go. Running clock, thud tempo, Canes football for you. Beautiful South Florida evening here for the Miami Hurricanes spring game. George Sedano, EJ Manuel, Pete Thamel with you here. Canes in action. Hand off to Mike Pareto. On 3rd and 1. Are they going to give him the first down?
Looks like he's short here from my point.
Yep. They're going to say 4th down and short coming up. Running clock here in the second half. We're in the 4th quarter, all knotted up at 20 apiece. Lance Guidry's group doing a great job today.
I'll tell you what, this defensive line, whether it's the first, second, or the third team, has done a really good job of stuffing the run. they do give up positive yards, it's not a huge gash of a play. 3 or 4 yards, and move on to the next down. Timeout of the half. 30-second timeout.
Let's take a look at Miami's schedule this season as they get ready for this 4th and 1 play. Get to that momentarily here. But obviously ACC play for Miami. You always want to see where they're traveling to. At Florida State, obviously, will be a tough one. But they've got Clemson at home. They begin the season on September 1st at Miami of Ohio. That Texas A&M game, they were right there, nip and tuck with them last year on the road at College Station. And then, of course, Bethune-Cookman, who they opened with last year at Temple. In Miami of Ohio, obviously, Lance Guidry has a connection to that school as well.
Miami versus Miami.
Yeah, you don't get that very often.
I don't get that too often. First down right there. But going back to that schedule, if Miami can just get through that Texas A&M game, potentially be 2-0, get into another out-of-conference game with Bethune-Cookman, potentially see them 3-0 before they play an ACC opponent, that would be huge. Huge start for this 2023 Miami Hurricane football team.
And that's a big one for Jimbo Fisher too, by the way.
Absolutely. Both teams.
After struggling last season.
Yep.
Your old coach, right?
Absolutely. Recruited by Jimbo, played for Jimbo, won a lot of championships with Jimbo. Definitely rooting for him at A&M. Just got to think, all the great recruits that they had, for them to have that struggle really just starts at the quarterback position, George, like every team. So you expect TVD is going to be back, healthy, under Shannon Dawson, high-powered offense, vertical throws, balanced run game against this Texas A&M defense. It's going to be good on good all day long. And
I mentioned earlier, of course, Coach Guidry has ties to Miami of Ohio. He was their interim coach for a second there, coached them in a bowl game, and he was trying to fire up the crowd in that locker room. Let's take a quick listen.
Now, we're going to have to be in a long fight, fellas. We're the underdog again. Once again, you're disrespected and you got to prove yourself. So you got to put that chip back on your shoulder and you play with that all night long. And we talked about that Triple Crown. And it's going to take 4 quarters. Not just the 4th quarter, all 4 quarters, fellas. We got to come out the gates. We got to come out the gates and run our race. Let's go get our damn trophy.
That'll fire you up.
Got me fired up. Ready to go right now. My helmet in.
By the way, it looks like Coach Guidry's eaten some of those steaks since then, by the way, too. Looks like he's eaten better.
Living good down here in South Florida. Some that Cuban food, little Prime 112, some cigars with Jason Taylor.
Yep.
Good life, man.
Jakari Brown throws a pass there, batted away by number 56, Nick Kelly. Now, we've been talking about the history of this university, and you cannot write the history of this university without the man standing next to Pete Thamel. He's with Alonzo Highsmith.
Yeah, here obviously with Alonzo, the former number 3 pick in the draft, but more importantly, after a long career as an NFL executive, the general manager of Hurricane football, and he's a proud papa going through the roster tonight of all the young players who's flashed. Alonzo, give us a sense of what young guys, what freshmen have really popped tonight.
You know what? We've been excited about a lot of freshmen during the whole process of spring training, and Ruben Bain, Francis Maluga, and Ray Ray. Ray is doing well, and a lot of young kids are really performing when their number's been called, so we're excited about them. And we've got a long ways to go as a football team, and we're getting better.
Ruben Bain is a guy who flashed. He's a legacy Cane. I believe his uncle played here. George has mentioned him a few times doing the play-by-play of the broadcast. Walk us through his recruitment, and is he the caliber of kind of player Miami needs to start getting again?
Well, you know what? The most important thing about Bain is he's from Miami, kind of a folk hero. He won a lot of state championships. He's got high expectations for himself, and those are the type of kids we're trying to bring into the program. Kids that expect a lot for themselves and want to raise the level of Miami football.
With Miami football's talent level clearly raised, what are reasonable expectations in year 2?
You know what? I'm not one to make, how many wins or anything like that. I think the main thing about what we're trying to do is raise the competition level. We've got to be able to compete every day in practice in order to get better as a football team. And it won't be bells and whistles. It won't be 5 stars, 2 stars. It's going to be about who competes every day and learning to compete every day. And once we learn how to compete every day, we'll be a better program.
One position group that the head coach, who has a little bit of bias, has mentioned quite a bit is the offensive line. How much has that position group transformed in the last year?
Oh, yeah, it's we've got some really good players in the offensive line. Sampson, Francis, Cohen, Lee, and Rivers, and all the kids that are coming back from last year. So we've expanded the group, and they've gotten better. So we're excited about them.
As a longtime NFL scout, I'm curious of your take on Tyler Van Dyke. He obviously had the scouts excited last summer, had an uneven year. Why do scouts like him so much?
Well, he's a big quarterback, and he's got a strong arm. Very smart, but more than anything, he's a good leader. Teammates like him. He works hard, and if you're willing to work hard with talent, you become a pretty good football player. And we're excited about him being the leader of our team this year.
Why do you think this offense is going to help him get back on track?
You know what? It's a pass-friendly offense. The offensive coordinator, Dawson, has had a lot of success in this offense. He's had a lot of good quarterbacks. He's had a lot of good receivers, and the numbers show that if it's done right in the correct way, we're going to be productive on offense.
All right. Well, Alonzo Highsmith knows about production. He did plenty of it here at the U. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you to Alonzo. Alonzo, part of that initial crew that put Miami on the map.
Absolutely.
One of the OGs of the Miami football program. And as Pete mentioned, a longtime NFL executive and now in charge here, the general manager, in essence, of Miami football.
That's a great role for Alonzo Highsmith, who's done it at the highest level as a player, obviously played here for the Canes, knowing what the talent's supposed to look like in the standard here at Miami.
Van Dyke down the field, got a man! Are they going to give him the touchdown? No! They're going to say out at the 1-yard line for Riley Williams from IMG Academy. A 33-yard pitch and catch puts Miami right at the 1-yard line, knocking on the door.
Excellent throw once again by Tyler Van Dyke. Sees it, got a mismatch here. A shorter defensive back, number 15, Markeith Williams, the safety, gets a 6'6" tight end, freshman Riley Williams, IMG Academy. Boy, showing up tonight.
Van Dyke. Quick toss,
nice.
And he's got a touchdown this time to Jacoby George, another TD to George. And Van Dyke and George showing a connection this evening.
And you know what that shows me there, George, is the fact that TVD has the ability to just go fast. He saw that there was nobody over Jacoby George. Hey, snap the ball, snap it, get it out, put some heat behind it, easy touchdown for the Miami Hurricane offense.
Tyler Van Dyke, certainly in a more familiar offense. As you mentioned, he had Rhett Lashley his first season here and looked incredible at times.
Yep.
And one of the newcomers of the year that year in the ACC. Last year, injury prone. Offense also didn't seem to suit him as well. This one certainly suits him. Where do you think he ranks in the ACC when you look at the quarterback position?
Yeah, well, right now, it's hard to say for TVD because he didn't play as well last season, but the number one coming into this year is Jordan Travis. I think he's a potential Heisman frontrunner with what he has coming back. You wouldn't think maybe Drake May because of the skill, the passing yards, but again, what Jordan Travis has around him, I think is going to help propel him to be the top QB. Riley Leonard at Duke, excellent player, showed a lot of promise for Coach Elko's team, going to do a really good job in leadership. Got the young, incoming year 2 starter, Cade Klubnik, and then you get to Tyler Van Dyke, who still has the ability to be the number 1 in this list. Just a matter of him meshing in this offense, getting back to how he played in 2021, because he's certainly a guy that can go early in the draft and he plays again to his potential.
Drake May is one of these guys that, as Emory Williams is in there, and they're going to blow that one dead. Incomplete either way, intended for Robbie Washington. Drake May is one of those guys that some of the draft types think that next year could be one of those top 5 guys and could be one of the top 2 quarterbacks taken off the board, including Caleb Williams, who could potentially be out there as well.
Yeah, Drake May is certainly going to be in the conversation. And based off how he played last season, You would have thought if he was in the draft this year, he might be in the mix to go in the top 15, top 20 of the NFL draft as a quarterback. But a terrific player, a terrific young man. And I really believe here in the ACC we have a really solid, strong group of QBs coming back collectively.
6-yard loss on the play. Ray Joseph in motion. Play action. Williams throws a fastball, but knocked away by the defender there, Cyrus Moss. All right, check that.
Miles
Boudjahn. Yeah.
Great play right there by the redshirt freshman. And Emory Williams, again, he's going to have to continue to learn. Early on in this game, he has some really nice throws right there. Just tried to force it in. You got 2 defenders on your receiver. Try to move off and get to your check down and take off and run, or just throw that ball out of bounds.
It feels like quarterback play. I know we were just talking about the guys in the ACC and the potential placement for them in the future draft, but just like quarterback play in general has elevated so much over the last decade.
It really has. And it's a good mix, too. You got some older guys, got some younger guys, but what a shot right there by Emory Williams and our guy, George.
You see the speed
there, baby.
Taking it to the house. Took it to the house. Emory Williams. A strike to Nathaniel Ray Joseph from Edison High School here in South Florida. 79 yards for the touchdown.
What a strike. Ray doing a great job of getting beyond the safeties. 2-safety look right there. They left him alone. You got to account for the fastest guy on the field. And like I said, you just give him an opportunity to catch that ball, George. He's going to do the rest with that take-home speed.
By far the biggest play of the day today here in the spring game. And you see the Jets there from Ray.
Absolutely. Ray talked about being on the jug machine every single day as a routine when he starts his morning. Not breakfast, not a shower. He's on a jug machine working on his hands, and an excellent strike and a really good confidence builder for Emory Williams, the young freshman quarterback.
He hit that turbo button in Madden to get that extra speed.
Absolutely. He ain't catching him.
Extra point is up and good, and now the offense puts an exclamation mark on this one as time is running out and all the players will be on the field to celebrate, congratulate each other. Offense looked a lot cleaner in the second half.
Very clean in the second half, and truly you saw both sides of the football make plays. The defense got after the passer. The passers worked some of the press corners, throwing up some really nice jump balls for the receivers to come down with some catches. Solid night for the Hurricanes.
But let's shout out the defense, because for a long time tonight, they took care of business too.
Listen, Ruben Bain and Alonzo Highsmith have called him a folk hero, being that he's from here in Miami. 3 sacks on the night. Another young freshman, Cyrus Moss, had a sack. Really loved what the defense did. And I'm telling you, this 4-2-5 defense is really hard to kind of get a hold of, because you don't know if they're going to bring pressure. You don't know if they're going to have 6 or 7 guys in the box. Also, the nickel to Corey Couch really stood out to me with a couple knockdowns in PBU.
Let's start with the quarterbacks. What did you make of what you saw today from that group?
Well, QB1, Tyler Van Dyke, played like it. Played like he was under control. He knew where to go with the football. And even if it wasn't a completion, it was the right space to go with the ball. That's what you want to see from your quarterback. You want to see a guy that can process, make the correct decisions. Kind of a tough day for Ja'Cory Brown, but you expect that. He's still a guy that's trying to learn and figure out how to be a pocket passer, and he will. He's going to get it figured out, because this team is going to have to lean on him at some point throughout the season. And Emory Williams, the true freshman, who should still be in high school right now, missing his high school prom, caps it off with a big-time throw right down the middle. Really good reps by all 3 of these QBs.
But a lot of youngsters obviously participating here as well. We saw Ray Joseph. Colby Young was here last year, but now really starting to come into his own. A lot of players ascending and looking better, whether they were the young players who are making their imprint or guys from last year who look significantly better thus far.
Coach Cristobal has to be extremely excited with what he's seen tonight. A great way to cap off the 14 practices with this 15th here in the spring game.
Let's go down to Pete with Coach Cristobal right now.
Well, Mario just said to me those young guys look fun. We just saw Ray make a nice run. Mario, who flashed for you?
You know, progress across the board, really. Who flashed? You saw actually Cyrus Moss, Jaden Wayne, Ruben Bain, all those guys. Ahmad Moten, it's got to be mentioned. The guy did a really good job, especially see how many guys we have out, up front in the interior of our defensive line. Francisco Magoa, I mean, he's a special player now. He really is. And then on the offensive side, I think you got to look at some of those offensive linemen. A couple guys were down. We got nicked up a little bit in pregame. We're okay. But then the skill guys, they made plays. You know, we made a contested catch over here on the left side with Horton. Jacoby George did what we wanted him to do. We put our defense in tough situations, played a lot of straight man most of the night without bringing a ton of pressure. But across the board, there's progress and still a ways to go.
Well, that's a good segue to the portal opening Sunday. You've been very open about needing to continue to upgrade the roster. How different could you look between now and when camp opens in August?
Significantly, I mean, we've been very fortunate to have coached and played for some really good coaches, and it's a blueprint that has stood the test of time, and we're sticking to it. And to make that blueprint work, we still got to enhance the caliber of the talent on our roster, So.
Tyler Van Dyke obviously looked comfortable in this system clearly tonight. What steps have you seen, and how can he carry this over to the fall?
Well, he's a conceptual learner. He's just a really high IQ guy, so he understands our offense, and he understands how to read defenses really well. We gave up a few sacks tonight, but up front for the most part, we've done really well. And our receivers are playing faster. Their minds aren't cluttered. There's a lot of clarity right now, and even though we had some mistakes, there's progress.
Well, there's clarity, too, that Miami is improving and coming back. Mario, thanks for your time.
Thanks for your time.